The Honourable Member Jan Logie.
Mr Speaker, and I rise to speak to this afternoon about one of the two crises that the Green Party has identified as facing the world as well as this country, and that is inequality. And the levels of inequality in New Zealand are killing children. It's a bald and it's a brutal truth. The University of Otago research has shown that every year around 60 children are dying before the age of 1 due to diseases related to low incomes. The government tells us that they're going to save these children by getting their parents off benefits, even though there aren't work test requirements for sole parents with children under the age of 1. And I doubt anyone in this House would want any. The government tells us it is going to save these babies by getting their parents off the benefit, while refusing to even check what happens to those babies after their parents get off the benefit. The government tells us it is going to save these babies by getting their parents into work. And then the very first piece of legislation they introduce into this House undermines the ability of people to negotiate decent pay and conditions. This government tells us it's going to save these babies by getting their parents off benefits, and then intervenes on behalf of an employer trying to argue against pay equity for some of New Zealand's hardest working and poorest paid women, caregivers. These babies aren't dying because their parents are bad. They are dying because we have not acted to save them. They are dying because of the policies that entrench and exacerbate inequality. In this place, we have the power to make decisions to stop those children dying. The Expert Advisory Group on Child Poverty created the roadmap for the government to save the lives of these babies. But the government has largely ignored this. The Green Party used that document to create a comprehensive suite of policies to save these babies and make our entire society fairer and more productive to boot. On average, another 24 women and babies are killed every year due to domestic violence in this country. And we don't even know how many more are dying because of the health problems, suicide or related injuries associated with domestic violence. Australian research suggests that it's probably more than are dying on our roads. And the government has said from the initial speech that they will be trying to reduce family violence. And I'm just hoping that the omission of sexual violence in that list was an omission rather than a decision. The government has previously said, though, that domestic violence was a priority last term, while at the same time they systematically eroded and undermined essential protections like core funding for women's refuge, like legal aid, like functioning family courts, social housing, work and income protection for women coming out of violent relationships, the Fawaia's network that networks up all the community agencies and helps them share stories and respond appropriately. And it just makes me despair when they say on one hand we're taking this seriously and on the other hand they remove the vital protections that what we need to save lives. And in the speech from the throne, the Prime Minister said that they would be focusing on gangs in relation to family violence. Sure, one part of the puzzle, sure, but not the sole focus, surely, when we need to be reviewing all of our legislations and policies to make sure we can turn this around, because we can turn this around. And you know that a core aspect of the prevention of domestic violence is reducing inequality. New Zealand deserves better, and I welcome the opportunity to work collaboratively with ministers and MPs right across the House to save lives, because this place has the power to do that.
I call the Honourable Member Mojo Mathers.
Thank you, Mr.